Alright folks, it's another day, it's another time. You're welcome to today's episode of the show. It's still your boy K Sounds, and on today's show we'll be looking at our dear country Nigeria. Is Nigeria still truly the giant of Africa, or Nigeria has become the fallen giant of Africa? At the end of today's video, we'll come to know if Nigeria still has what it takes to be the big brother of Africa, or is Nigeria now that little brother of Africa? Nigeria, once a great nation, treasured by the world, admired from afar, seen by many as the future of the world, with its vast riches both in human and natural resources. But unfortunately, Nigeria has been blessed with selfish and self-centered leaders. Every 4 years we rush out to vote in a new leader, only for things to go from bad to worse. And that has become a familiar story in Nigeria today, a predictable movie in our dear country, Nigeria. Nigeria have been in battle against the deadly terrorist group called Boko Haram since 2009. But for reasons best known to them that know, even with the borrowing of billions of dollars to combat this evil, still there's no result to show for it. And then Chad, that I would regard as one of the smallest nations in Africa, we should see Nigeria as the big brother of Africa, could no longer bear the shame but take the fight to Boko Haram, inflicting on them their biggest damage to date. Once the giant of Africa has become the fallen giant of Africa, where nepotism, selfishness, corruption and tribalism has taken over the land. We never truly had a foundation. The foundation, our constitution, was truly always faulty and needs urgent and complete overhaul. Where did it all go wrong for Nigeria? Our constitution is supposed to be a guide to greatness, like the American slogan, "In God we trust." But in our own case, it's now a recipe to aid corruption. Corruption has become the norm. There has never truly been a fight against corruption in this country. We borrow money to fight Boko Haram and yet plan to offer them amnesty at the same time. We plan to borrow money to fight COVID-19 because we never truly had a health system in place. We lock our cities down for fear of COVID-19 without adequate palliatives for the common boy or girl that survives daily on the streets. In this life, there is always a day of reckoning. Prepare your bed in the morning so that at night you will find one to lay on. A lot of things have got to change for Nigeria to be great again. The leaders of this country, both government administrators, religious administrators, educational administrators, civil service administrators, all of these have got to change. Every system in this country have in one way or another involved in promoting corruption, failed in their societal responsibilities. They have hidden from speaking the truth where and when necessary. We should all play our part to make Nigeria great again. This COVID-19 I have seen is already bringing back the good spirit in some Nigerians. Nigerians have never been this caring. They've never been this good since the history of this nation. Let's keep the spirit going, the spirit of love and sharing, even after this time of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's keep it going. Only with this spirit can Nigeria ever be truly great again. Inspire Me TV. The era of slavery is coming back again. Slavery never truly left Africans. The Westerners, the entire world, still see Africans as slaves. They even compare them to apes and black monkeys. In China today, the new wave of coronavirus that is hitting them back again is being blamed on the blacks that are in China. Now they've even banned the blacks from entering into restaurants, from entering into basic places in China. They've been evicted from their homes. They've been testing them over and over again for coronavirus. Why must you do that to the blacks? Are they the only ones in China? Don't you have Americans in China? Don't you have Europeans in China? Why is it now that it's the black that this is being done to? They are even killing the blacks because the blacks have no helper. Our leaders have failed us. They have failed the entire system. The Europeans, the Americans, the Chinese now see Africans as beggars, because for every little thing, our leaders are always out there to beg for support. They are always out there to borrow money at every slightest opportunity. And the more you do this, the more you become a debtor to this foreigner. The more you become a slave to them? Why is it that when it comes to paying allowances, when it comes to siphoning the country, there's always money for them to siphon? There's always money for them to steal, all in the name of nobody can do them anything. But when it comes to getting money for these basic amenities, these basic facilities that will improve Africa, they keep saying there's no money. They want to go borrow money. They want to go get loans from abroad. All of these have made Africa to become a ridicule. They have made Africans to become slaves continually to the world. We see our Africans taking the risk of passing through the Mediterranean Sea with little boats, all just to survive, to leave Africa for Europe. This is modern day slavery. If it's not slavery, you would not take such risk on the high sea just to leave Africa. In the past, Africans were being forced to be taken abroad. But these days, the new format of slavery is we even beg to become slaves abroad. And the Europeans, the Americans, the Chinese, they all know this. And that is why we are in the mess we are today. African leaders, you all need to wake up. Whichever country you live in, be it Nigeria, be it South Africa, be it Uganda, wherever the African leaders are, you all have to wake up. Wake up and stand together. That is why we have the African Union. But African Union has become redundant. It's no longer functional. And because of this Boko Haram issue, we see Chad now relenting and saying they are not willing to join the multinational task force to fight Boko Haram. Because they see that the other countries that are a part of this joint force are not as willing as they are. That is why Chad is now taking the battle to Boko Haram all by themselves. They no longer believe in the African community. They no longer believe in this sub-region, this West African region, where they are supposed to come as one and fight this evil menace that is ravaging the sub-Saharan African region. Even in America today, we'll see that from statistics, the blacks are dying more than the whites. Why? Because there's a social disparity. There's disparity in accessibility to good health care. Wherever the blacks are predominant, the healthcare system there is always poor. Wherever the whites are predominant, the healthcare system has always been good. Now we see that this coronavirus initially was seen as a disease for the white man, but in America it's not the case. The blacks are dying in their numbers heavily, and statistics show this, that the blacks die more than the whites in this era of COVID-19 because the whites have more access to better facilities, better health care, better social status in the US, and that is why they are giving them priority treatment, and the blacks are second-class citizens. That is what they have been in the past, that is what they are now, and that is what the white man still sees them to be. Whether you claim to be an American or not, they still see you as a second-class citizen as long as you have the black skin. Africa, wake up before it's too late. The world is complaining of overpopulation, and each time they make reference to overpopulation, all they think about is reducing the population of Africa. They want to leave their continent, they want to leave their countries to come and inhabit Africa. That is what they started in South Africa. It would have spread from South Africa to other parts of Africa if not for the fight and the resistance of Africans of old. We shouldn't let that happen a second time. The whites, the foreigners, they have interest in Africa. Each time they talk about the testing of vaccines for any new pandemic that comes up, all they think about is coming to Africa to test it. They see Africans as animals, they see Africans as pigs, as bushmeat, whatever they may call it. But indeed, it's left for us to change that narrative. We have to come together as one. We have to think out of the box. And Africa should begin to have leaders who are intelligent, who are intellectually sound, who can come up with great economic plans to revitalize the system in Africa, to make opportunities available for every African, so that Africans don't need to leave Africa to survive. The more we continue to leave Africa in drones, in large numbers, to go seek greener pastures abroad, the more we begin to tell them that we cannot take care of ourselves. The more we continue to tell them that we still need the white man to survive. The more we continue to tell them that without them, we are nothing. And that is why they still see us as slaves. But that has got to change. It has got to change with me and you. And every African leader, I'm speaking to you, change your mindset. Some African leaders are already trying on their part, like the Ghanaian president. I would give him a high score. From what I've seen in Ghana that he is doing, I think he's doing well. Also, the Rwandan president, I think, is one of the high points of African leadership. But many other African leaders are below par, and they need to wake up and fight this menace, this evil of corruption that the foreigners have sown into Africa. It's actually the foreigners who sowed this seed into Africans, the seed of greed, the seed of corruption, because they know with that Africa can never rise. With the seed of corruption that have been implanted in Africa, Africa will never grow. First, we have to kill that evil called corruption. We have to kill that seed called corruption, and then and there can Africa truly rise up again and take its rightful place in things in the world. Alright, at this point, if you like what we are doing, if you enjoyed this video, I would like you to please click the like button and share it so that other Africans too can see it and wake up and rise up to the occasion and help fight the menace of corruption, the menace of greed, the menace of nepotism, and make Africa truly great again. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on the post notification buttons, and I will see you in the next video.